Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Sabrina Victoria. This is Her Talk Show. I am here today with Emily Tosoni. I am so excited to have her here. She's the Instagram guru, and she is bringing us today the 2025 Instagram updates every business owner must know. So I'm super excited to kind of dive into this, girl. How often is Instagram really updating all this stuff? I feel like it's every month there's a new update.
Okay, let's start with Instagram is updating things every day. So every day there are micro changes, micro things happening. They are updating different accounts. So not everyone gets the daily updates, but they are always doing micro changes in the background, which is representative of really what all of us are doing in business, hopefully, like shoring things up, trying things out,
Yeah.
experimenting. So there are daily updates happening, whether or not you or I or the general user sees or feels or has the opportunity to interact with those changes. That's a different story. Now, larger updates that we normally hear about have usually been tested in these micro launches ahead of time before they do a full launch of some sort of new feature or new update.
Got it. And then as far as the impact that this is making, like what, like I feel like I don't know any of the updates, just like whatever's thrown at me. And I like like I guess we're adapting right now.
Yeah.
How detrimental is it for our business to not know all the updates?
Well, I think just like anything, there's so much to know and you can't know it all.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like to remind people of, and this is part of what I do when I coach folks one-on-one and in Instagram Growth Lab, is teach you what you need to know about, what updates are actually relevant, what features you actually need to use. And the reality is the changes that normally happen for the most part are based off of user behavior. So we get our panties all in a kerfuffle about like, oh, the algorithm changed or this new feature. The features are rolled out, the updates are made, the algorithm changes based off of the way that we as humans, the users, are using the platform, are consuming content. So if we can look at it from that perspective, instead of being overwhelmed or feeling like we're behind, instead focusing on how can I have a foundational understanding of buyer psychology, of how to
Mm,
create connection, of how to have magnetic content with clarified messaging so that the right people that are looking for me can find me, then the algorithm changes, the updates, the new features start to feel less overwhelming
yeah.
because you have more of a foundational framework of how to always exist on really any platform because you know how to speak to
Yeah.
your people.
Yeah. I love that because I think one of the biggest excuses, I'm sure you hear this all the time, is just the algorithm changed.
All the
I
time.
think the algorithm changed. Or like I'll even say something, but not in conjunction with like trying to complain. But I'll just be like, oh yeah, that one, and then they'll jump on and they'll be like, yeah, the algorithm changed.
Yep.
My stats are down too. And I'm like, I wasn't saying that my stats were down, just that post didn't do very well.
Yep.
So I love what you're saying here as far as you're giving the ownership back to the individual.
Yep.
Like you have to work on yourself and your own ability to be able to talk to your audience.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel there's a lot to know, right? Like the learning curve is steep. If you're trying to figure out how to use a social media platform, in this case, Instagram, the learning curve is steep. Because if it's something you have just used for fun, for your own content consumption, you haven't been using it to build a business, to create relationships. You've just been the one looking at, consuming, watching content. It feels really steep to try and then figure out, how do I create content that people will look at, that people will engage with, that people will share, and that will keep them coming back so that I can build an audience that will want to work with me. So I understand that it makes sense to try and assign blame, for lack of a better word,
Totally.
to like these larger things that we don't understand, which is why I work really hard with my clients to help them understand, again, these foundational strategies of buyer psychology, the consumer journey. And really, what I find a lot of the times is people don't have clarity in how to speak to the ideal client they want to work with at the place where their ideal client is in their struggle. A lot of times the content we're creating is trying to talk at them, like a TED Talk or a lecture, like a PowerPoint presentation. And that's not the way people like to consume content on social media platforms.
Yeah.
Like that kind of content, we're signing up for conferences or we're signing up for classes that are more structured and like professional, if you will. But that we like to zone out and scroll and consume in a way that like entertains us and
Totally.
also intrigues us.
Yeah. I have noticed that like the entertainment teachings
Yes.
are the best. I know I follow a ton of relationship gurus or coaches along with business, and the ones that I'll more than likely watch all the way through are the ones that do more so like skits
Yep.
that are either serious or funny. But then there's always a learning in the middle of it. And
Yep.
those to me, I could just watch for hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so let me like interject here then and say that educational content used to be the best type of content for business owners to post on social media, specifically on Instagram. You wanted it to be educational. You wanted to deliver value. You wanted to over deliver, over produce, all of this. Starting in 2024, the shift started to kind of move away from that. Not that we don't want to do educational content, but like you're saying, what you've noticed is how can we do it in a different way that is also entertaining, that holds our attention, that doesn't feel like we're being talked at or like it's a boring PowerPoint. I mean, I feel like most people have probably sat through some sort of boring PowerPoint presentation at some point. And you understand that the information is important, but it's presented in a way that you cannot keep your eyes open. And that's similar on social media. If I can't grab your attention in the first 2 seconds as you're scrolling and you see my piece of content, you're going to keep going. You're going to miss the value I have to offer. So a shift that I want people to start thinking about, if you're a business owner and you're using social media platforms to promote your brand, your business, to be the brand that stands out so people remember you for that thing. There are 3 types of content. And really, you could start to call these your content pillars and then have your subtopics underneath. But you want to have personal content. So personal content is like important because you need to show people who you are. The reason people work with me is because of me. My expertise, my knowledge, how I help people is important, but the reason people choose me for their Instagram growth coach is because of me. The reason people choose to work with Sabrina in like the container she has or in Her Nation, joining the mastermind, the community, is because of her and what she's created. And because of the feedback that the people that are a part of those containers give. Okay. Like that's why people choose to work with Sabrina, with me, with you. You have to actually show that in your content. No longer can we just hide behind what we know. We also have to show people who we are. So personal content shows our audience who we are. It humanizes us. And it shows us as relatable. So relatable content has become some of the most share-worthy content, right? Like you think about yourself. So in real life, Sabrina and I are friends, right? And we share reels and memes and stuff with each other all the time. And that's the point. That's how people consume content right now. They find it relatable, they find it funny, or they like it really hits another emotion and they share it with a friend. They hit the little paper airplane, or if you're on Facebook, they hit the share button, or on any other platform, there are share options. And that is the most important metric right now. So your content has to be relatable. It cannot just be boring. So this is, if you can show that you're someone your audience can relate to and that you can relate to them, you're hitting a home run.
Yeah.
The second type of content is expertise content. You need to show your audience that you know what you say you know.
Yeah.
Now that can come in a few different formats. That can be you sharing just your knowledge in a way that is entertaining, that is relatable, that draws people in. It can be you showing user-generated content, which would be When a client DMs you and says, holy cow, I did exactly what you told me to do after our last call, and now I've made 10 sales. You screenshot that. That's user generated content. You can turn that into a reel, a carousel, a green screen, testimonial, presentation of storytelling. There's all sorts of ways, but you still need to show your expertise, but you need to do it in a way that is intriguing and entertaining. And then the third type of content is sell content. So you have to talk about your offers, how they help people, the kinds of transformation that you can offer to your ideal client, the pain points you address. Now, currently, personal content in the form of reels and carousels works really well to create the intrigue to draw someone in so that they can see your expertise and sell content.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest issues is, at least with my clients, and I know that we share a lot of our avatars very similar, but for those that there's like three types of, there's two types of people. There's a person who doesn't really post at all, right? They know they're supposed to be posting and they fucking don't post. And then the other person is a person who is posting, but then no one even knows they have anything for sale because they're just so scared to like mention that there's a product or a service behind the value of the stories of which they are they're sharing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that all the time. People are worried that they're going to offend their audience.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we're still in the stage of like, oh, but what if my friends see it and my friends don't like it and they unfollow me?
Which is so weird.
I think it's a representation of something much deeper that like we lack comfort with ourselves. And
But
we're
also
worried.
like, I mean, it's so heartless, but I went through and I just deleted everybody. Like anybody who, when I literally took like 2 or 3 nights where I sat down deliberately and was like, I'm getting rid of anybody's name who, when I come across it, I get just a feel of like, I would not want that person to see my shit, that it would embarrass me. And I just fucking deleted it. I don't ever talk to that person really.
Yeah.
I don't even like, to me, it's like, who are the people the people that are in your life, like consistently, right? Like Emily was saying, like we talk daily. And so it's like, who are those people? Those people aren't going to say jack shit. Well, maybe they will. But then all the other people, right, that are just kind of like there, just like hovering, just delete it and get new friends.
Or start a new profile. I mean,
Totally.
I don't think there's
I have
enough
seen that
conversation
where
about
people
that.
will use like a segment of their name. Like my real name is Sabrina Soto. I use my middle name, Sabrina Victoria. So you could have a whole nother entity with just your other name.
Yeah.
Or just have made up names. There's so many people that just have made up names. They're not fucking real at all. Like Mr. Beast, what the fuck is that? Like I don't even know that dude's real name.
I know, like The Rock.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know his real, I mean, there are people that do know his name, but I don't know his name.
It's Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go. If there was $1 million on the line, maybe I would have asked him that one. But if there was $1 million on the line for Mr. Beast, I would lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to call into Emily Tosoni.
I don't know Mr. Beast.
You know what?
But The Rock is Dwayne Johnson.
See, this is a good point. So it could be anything. I love that you're saying that.
Yeah. And even if you don't want to, even if you're like, well, I still want to use my name, but I don't want to use the same profile I've been using, right? I hear this a lot. Like, well, okay, so I'm an example, right? I am in my 40s. I started using Facebook when it came out when I was in college, when like the only way you could have a Facebook account was if you had a college email address, right? So like a lot of my Facebook connections are people that I went to college with in the different states where I went to college and people that I worked with in different jobs over the years. So if that's you and you're like, I've had this account for forever and I've mostly just used it to connect with other people, then start a different profile and
with an
change one thing.
email that nobody knows, with an email that nobody knows. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just post your business stuff there. And you can do the same thing with Instagram, right? So again, I had sparingly used Instagram prior to Facebook was like where I did all my connection with folks. So even though I had an Instagram account that was kind of for fun, when I decided I'm going to use Instagram for business, I changed my username. So I kept the same profile. I just changed my username from something like, so my previous username was Montana Olive because I live in Montana and my middle name is Olive. And it also kept me like people couldn't find me, which is what I wanted. I wanted to like just find I had a private account. I only wanted to find and connect with the people that I wanted to connect with. And when I decided to use it for business, I changed it to a public account. I archived a bunch of personal posts that I didn't want everyone to have access to. And I changed my username to Emily Tosoni _ So all that to say, you can always start a brand new account at the same, you can just start a brand new account. And honestly, the way the algorithm works now, especially on Instagram, that's my area of expertise. Facebook is not when it comes to promoting your business, but you can actually do better with starting an entirely new account, a new profile on Instagram, because it categorizes the content you post. And that's what helps it to know how to push your content out to the right people. So if you start from scratch and you just go gangbusters with getting content in there that really speaks to using the keywords and phrases of your ideal client and the offers you put out and your branding language and the way that you talk, it's really helpful for the algorithm. And you might be more likely to see larger growth faster because of that. So don't discount the opportunity to start an entirely new Instagram profile to grow your business, because you'll attract the people that are looking for you. And then you don't have to worry, oh my God, what if grandma, whoever sees it, or like this random person I went to high school with who like sometimes I connect. Don't worry about that. Just like start a new account.
That's great. That's great. And yeah, and then by the time they do find it or see it, you've already blown up, so it doesn't even matter at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll also say, I would encourage you, if this is you, if you're like, that's me, I get so paralyzed and stuck about posting it all because I'm afraid people that I know will see it and judge me or what. I would encourage you to shift that mindset to, what if the right person who needs what I have to offer sees it and it changes their life, because then they can reach out to me because they understand that I get them. I have something that can help them and I'm here to work with them.
Absolutely.
So I think that shift becomes really important. Even if you do start your own, you start a different profile, you start a new account, you have to have that mindset shift continually.
Yeah.
Because we're programmed to like want acceptance. We want to be a part of community. We want people to accept us. So of course, as much as I can say to you, it doesn't matter what other people think of you, it still impacts us. So you have to continually shift your own mindset to, it's okay if they aren't into what I am doing.
Yeah.
I'm attracting the people that are.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So what are some of these Instagram updates? Give us a couple. What are they? What are some good ones? I know you said there's like micros every day, but what are some good ones that we should know about?
So recently, this happened in July, and this is a big update for a variety of reasons. But the middle of July, there was an update that came out that essentially means that all your content now is discoverable and should be search engine optimized for every search engine platform. So now Google, if you go into Google and you type something in, Google can now comb through Instagram content and suggest your content in the Google results that you get. When that happened, they also did updates within Meta and within Instagram specifically, so that the algorithm within Instagram, the search engine portion, if you go to the search page, you go to the explore page and there's a search function there, now does a better job of combing through Instagram content to give you access, to show you the content that has that information. So the reason this is important is previously hashtags did this for us.
Yes.
You would use a hashtag and you would, whatever the phrase was, and that's how people really looked at and found content in that specific area on Instagram, you can certainly still use hashtags. They are not being used to categorize content on Instagram like they once were. So you actually don't need them. Now, are they going to harm you if you use them? No. But the other thing to keep in mind with hashtags is most of us used hashtags from the perspective of what we thought the hashtag should be. And the reality is our content should speak to the way our ideal client is thinking and speaking in the terms they use. And we weren't normally using those hashtags anyway.
Absolutely.
So the best thing for you to do when you're creating content, I love this. The best thing you can do when creating content is have a bank of questions that your ideal client asks in the phrases and terms and words that they use. Now, if you're like, where do I even start with that? I don't know. There's a few different ways. The first is just ask. If you have an email list, even if it's 10 people, send them an email and say, I need to better understand what your struggles are with whatever your niche, your specific area of expertise is. What are you struggling with right now? What's the main hurdle that keeps you from whatever it is? Ask them. And then when they respond to you, you get a bank, create like a bank. So I use a platform called Asana, which is I use it completely for free. It's ASANA. I keep track of everything in there. And I have under my I have one place where I keep all my SOPs, everything about my business. And one of those things is literally just a bank of responses I have received from ideal clients over the years that I've been in business of what their exact questions are in the words that they send me the question in.
Ooh.
I don't edit it. I don't change how they ask the question because the language they are using is important.
Got it.
The language I use is from my coaching perspective, from the language that I'm going to teach you. But that's not necessarily the language you would ask me the question in. And then that has to become the base of the content you create, the hooks. So like you take a generic hook and you intersperse the language your ideal client would use into that so that when the algorithm is combing through and somebody is at 2 a.m. doing a search, they can't sleep because they're so stressed out and they're looking for what you have to offer and they don't know you exist yet and they type it in, the algorithm has combed, found your content, suggests it to them. They can go and look at your content, look at your profile because you took the time to better understand the keywords and phrases that your ideal client uses.
Got it.
So that's been huge.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Another update that happened, and I've been playing around with this. I'm not done kind of beta testing on my own profile to give all the feedback about this, but 5 or 6 months ago, so there's different kinds of content you can post on Instagram, right? So there's Reels, which Reels have the potential for the greatest reach, especially to reach the audience that is not following you yet. So Reels are really like the gold standard when it comes to the kind of content you should be creating. And there's more strategy to that, but let's just leave it at that for now. And then there are posts where you could post a single image or a single graphic that you create. And within the option for the post, you can do a carousel, which is where you add more than one, right? And then you can slide through. What they did, again, it's been 4 or 5 months. I can't remember when they made this change. But when you create a post, whether it's a single image or a carousel of images, you can add trending audio to it, like you can to a reel. Nice. And when you do this, your carousel or single image post has the potential to be suggested as a reel. Now, this is big because there's like the Reels tab on your Instagram. When you're like looking at Instagram and you're getting ready to scroll, there's a Reels tab at the bottom that you can just literally scroll through Reels.
Yeah.
Those are tailored for you. The algorithm looks at what you look at and suggests content to you. But that's just Reels. If you post a carousel of images and put a trending audio to it, it has the potential to be suggested there. So what I have found from doing this myself for the past month, I've been really working on, because I really like creating Reels. I love creating reels. So I've gotten back into creating carousels. My carousels are getting greater reach, bringing in new followers and getting way more views and engagement than reels. So is that going to be the case for everyone? I don't know. I'm still working on trying to figure out what's going on, why that's happening. But my suggestion now is you should have a balance of reels and carousels and always add trending audio unless you're doing a reel where you're speaking directly to your camera. Don't add a trending audio then. Just let it be your original audio of your voice. You don't need a trending audio. But any others, carousel, still image, snippet, reel, add trending audio to it. So I think those are like really the two biggest. The other one, I guess the other update that I'll say that has been really beneficial, I'm still playing around with this, is Instagram launched a new app that it's an Instagram app and it's called Edits. So it's just called Edits. You can go into the App Store, whatever kind of phone you have, and download Edits. And essentially it expands on the edit tools available to you for creating reels, one of which is a teleprompter. So if you're someone who likes to do spoken to the camera reels and you get all kerfuffled about like, oh, but I don't want to like look over there while I'm trying to look at the screen and read my script. Literally, you can put your script into the teleprompter within Edits so that yeah, I'm not sure if the teleprompter portion rolled out when they rolled Edits out, but it's there now. And it's situated at the top of the screen. So you're still able to like stare at the screen. Yeah. It doesn't look like you're looking off into, wherever. Yeah. And it rolls with you. So the app is just called Edits. It's totally free. You can download it. And then it connects directly back to your Instagram profile, the Instagram app itself. So when you're done, you can download what you've just created directly to your camera roll, which is great if you want to repurpose it across platforms. And then it also, like I say, it expanded the edit tool. So there's more options for how you can make your closed captioning look, text options. The video that you can film in there is crisper. It's, more high tech. I don't know all the words.
Is it like a separate app? So you have to like do it and then download it and then upload it onto Insta, or is it in Insta?
So it's a completely separate app, but it connects to your Instagram profile. So say you create the reel in there and then there's a button that says export. You hit export and it gives you the option to post it directly to Instagram, Facebook, download it, or send it as a DM to somebody, so say like I created something for the retreat. I could go to the export and DM you and say, hey, Sabrina, I created this to promote our retreat. Do you see anything I need to change before I finalize it and post it? Which is pretty incredible. Yeah. And then if I hit the Instagram icon, it will literally just take me right into the Instagram app, ready to post it. I can just add my caption, tag a location. It will even bring the trending audio over. So it's incredible.
Celeste wants to know if you have a master class.
I am actually going to be teaching about this in my community, in my Instagram Growth Lab community in October. I'm going to be teaching in more detail on this, which I'm happy to give you info on the trial offer to check that out if you're curious. Because these are the things, there's so many changes, but these really are the most important changes as of recently for you to know about, because there's all these other features they've rolled out. You can repost, and the reposts are cool, but like they're not really helping with reach or to grow your business audience. So it's not a bad thing to use, but don't stress about it. There's like, you can see the reels that your friends like now, and the type of reels that your friends like doesn't really matter unless your friends, the people you're following, are your ideal client audience and you want to go look at the kind of content they consume to get content ideas. But like otherwise, some of these features just you don't necessarily need to worry about.
Totally.
So for now, posting carousels, and I am going to be doing a class in Instagram Growth Lab on how to really optimize carousels for delivery of information, but also being relatable, being entertaining. Yes.
Love that. All right, we have a couple questions preemptively that were sent to us. Some of these you already answered, girl. So hopefully they were listening live. By the way, for those of you listening live, be sure to like and share this video because Emily and I work with women business owners and we're looking to reach everybody. So you'd be doing us a huge favor by sharing this and liking this. Okay, let me pull up the first question that I think you didn't answer yet. Is Instagram leaning more towards video, photos, or something else heading into 2026? What are you thinking? What are your personal thoughts?
Well, with what I'm seeing from my own personal experience and from what other folks that I follow, I think carousels are on the rise, especially when you add that trending audio because it's getting suggested as a reel. So I just did some diving into, there's a platform called Metricool, Metricool, which is an incredible platform to use if you want to look at all the data for all your social platforms. It includes everything: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, every X, all of them. And they regularly do 2 times a year a big study of all social platforms, what's working the best. So Instagram still has the most short form video interactions and engagement compared to other platforms out there. But again, what we're starting to see is this trend with carousels that are reach outside of just your existing followers, which is not normally the case with carousels. So I'm curious to see how that goes into 2026. So what I'm going to be coaching my clients on is where previously I was like, the majority of your content needs to be snippet reels with like carousels here and there. My new suggestion, my updated suggestion, because of what I'm seeing, is it needs to be half reels, half carousels. And then teaching my clients how to create carousels in a way that creates the engagement that you want. So
are you, is Canva still the best way to create carousels?
So you can create carousels in Canva, certainly, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially because you can put your branding elements to it, your branding colors, your branding fonts, all of that. But you can also create your carousels directly in Instagram. And then you're using the native Instagram fonts. It kind of just depends on the brand presence you want to convey with what you're creating. So yeah, it totally depends. But what I will say is content that looks highly produced doesn't perform as well anymore. And that's been true for about the past year and a half. The majority of those of us as consumers of content want it to look well put together, but we want to see a little bit of the mess. We want to see a little bit of like the real, the humanization, which is very different from like Instagram of 2021 and 2022, like mid-year 2022, where like it needed to look super polished. It needed to be perfectly laid out. Your Instagram profile needed to look to the nines. And that is not the case anymore because the majority of content that is shared on Instagram is by business owners right now.
Yeah.
The majority of people consuming content are not business owners. So if you can imagine, and you know, we're all consumers too, the majority of what we see is promoting stuff to us. And we're less likely to watch or consume content that looks like an ad. If it's too highly produced, it looks like an ad and we don't want it and we just keep scrolling.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I remember back in the day when like the popular courses that were being put out was how to like make a beautiful visual for your Instagram. Those were like going like hotcakes. I felt like every other woman was on there trying to sell us on how to make it all the things, the every other, the black and white, the soft tan. Like there were so many different ones that you could buy into. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Number 2. What do you think is the biggest mistake people are making with Instagram right now?
The biggest mistake is that they're looking at the data that says it's hard for your content to get seen, and then they're not posting anything. So what I always remind people of, so there's a few different pieces here. If you're not visible, nobody can find you, nobody can buy from you. Your website is static. You should have a website. You should absolutely have a website. It should be search engine optimized. It is not a living, breathing representation of who you are, what you do, how you help people. That's what social media is for. Now, the reality is the average Instagram user follows over 1,000 accounts and only spends 30 to 45 minutes a day on the platform. So I want you to think about this. If you're following 1,000 accounts, 1,500, let's say, and you only spend 45 minutes a day on the platform, there's no way you can see every single new post. So I see this a lot, like, oh, the algorithm has changed again and I'm not seeing my friends' post. You're seeing posts from the people whose content you engage with. The algorithm is giving you more of what you've already engaged with. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Okay. It literally, so when people are like, oh, I searched this one thing and now I get all these ads for it. That's how it works. That's something you were interested in. It gets, now,
Yeah.
like say something out loud and then it
Yeah.
shows up on your Instagram feed. That feels
It
good.
is so interesting though, because even like I'll go out to dinner or lunch with friends and something that I'm not even at all interested in, they were talking about it.
Yep.
Then pops up. I just had the weirdest thing pop up the other day. It was a commercial. It heard the TV talking about some brand, something I never would need or would ever look up. And it was the same thing I had heard on Prime, Amazon Prime for sale. And yeah, I was getting ads in my feed for it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's hilarious.
That's how it works. And we get all like weird about that. We think, oh my God, I'm not seeing, but you're not spending usually hours and hours and hours on a social platform scrolling through to see what everyone posted. You're probably not going to each person that you're following you're not going to followers and then scrolling through and no. So, what happens though, when you have content up there? Okay. So let me back up. The average user follows 1,000 accounts, 30 to 45 minutes a day on the platform. The other stat I want you to know is that your followers, the people that are actually following you on Instagram, are only going to see about 5% of what you post to your static feed. That's reels, carousels, still images, if you go live and post it. Okay. That's where people are normally like, well, then what is the point? Here's the point. You show up to a networking meeting, virtual, in person, and the host says, drop the ways people can connect with you. And you drop your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, your email, your website, and nobody's going to any of those because it's too much. And that's information overload. And literally no one's going to any of them.
I love that.
They're not doing any. You need to have one place. Now, I'm not saying you can't be active on multiple platforms. You certainly can, but you need to have one platform. And if it's not Instagram, that's fine. If LinkedIn is your place or whatever, but you need to have one place where you are consistently showing up, creating content and putting it out there that you can drop into a chat at a networking event. That when you're on a podcast and they say, you don't want to be on a podcast and be like, follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. It's too much.
Yeah.
You say, you give them one place. Yeah. This happens to me all the time. Okay. I mostly just use Instagram. So I'll go to meetings and people will say, and I'll say, follow me on Instagram. I have a LinkedIn profile. I have a Facebook profile. Yeah. And a lot of people will then go follow me on LinkedIn. I'm not active over there, but I have a profile. And even though the only thing I said was Instagram, most people know how to then search my name and find me.
Yeah.
So give them one place to go. So now here's what happens. You're on Instagram, you're on a networking call and there's 40 people on there and you drop your Instagram link. And now you have 20 new followers from the 40 people on there. As long as you have consistent new content for the first few days after somebody follows you, the algorithm shows them your most recent content.
This is what I tell people. I love that.
So if you don't have content, and they just started following you, they're not going to see a damn thing from you. And they're not going to remember that they followed you because our attention spans we can only remember so much. Okay. Like we can only remember so much. They're not going to remember you because you're not showing up in their feed. So the algorithm basically gives them a chance in those first few days to interact with some of your content. Oh my God, they just started following this person. They must be really interested. We're going to show them some of his or her or their most recent content so that now the person who's following you can interact with it, watch it, like it, share it. And once that happens, the algorithm is like, okay, they're interested in this person. Now we're going to put their story bubble to the front. You have to be active in your stories for it to show up. And you have to have content continuing to go out in order for it to be seen. Yeah. So that to me, I really see that people think of Instagram or really any social media as like this thing that they'll get to, when really your social media presence is the entryway for people to learn about who you are, how they can work with you, and to get to know you enough to be able to make a decision, which is the consumer journey and buyer psychology, which is how that's the framework for everything I teach. Yeah. That like, you're not, unless you are Mr. Beast or any of these other people that we don't really know that much about, but we know their name because they're in all the spaces, right? Like Tony Robbins. You might have never consumed anything from Tony Robbins, but you know who he is. Tony Robbins is more likely to be able to just not post any valuable relationship building content and just tell you about his next whatever. At
this point, yeah.
Wherever. And you might just buy into it because he has name recognition. He has clout. Most of us are not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So you cannot just show up when you have something to sell.
Yeah.
And think that people are going to buy from you. You have to actually show up enough to be memorable enough and visible enough for people to know that you exist. And you have to do it in a strategic way.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think also to go along with what Emily is saying is making sure you look the same across all of your platforms is really, really important. Because they'll see you here on a podcast. We have a ton of people watching live right now, right? So we have they see you here, then they'll see the same genre, right, on a profile picture here and there, and they'll start to make that correlation. Yes. But if one of your profiles is a picture of you and your dog, it's a side profile, and the other one is like a fucking sunflower, and then the other one is like you with like a big hat on covering half your face, it's like, dude, there's no brand recognition across anything. So your face is the most important thing, because the profile is where is everywhere, right? That's what everyone sees, is just the profile. So when they start to do the facial recognition themselves, right? This is when you can start to get closer, move in the direction of what Tony Robbins has created for himself. Now it's at the point, same with the McDonald's. Like McDonald's is the most recognized symbol on the face of the planet. Like they could go to places that don't even have McDonald's. There's like one McDonald's in the entire country and people know McDonald's. But why? Because the arches stay the same. They're yellow arches and they've stayed the same to the test of time, since forever. And people recognize them. Yeah. Absolutely. That's great. Okay. If anybody has any questions, now is the time to get it in. We have one more that was submitted to us. This one's kind of funny. What's the wildest thing you've ever seen work on Instagram for growth? I just think of like dancing.
Yeah. I mean, I think just this, let me think of if there was like one trend that really worked that I mean, I think generally speaking, the videos of us like performing for the camera, like performing to create reels, is fascinating. It's just fascinating. Like, you don't have to dance, you don't have to perform in order to have successful content. But I do think that whole experience is a really interesting, could be like a sociological investigation of like, why are we like this?
Yeah.
why do we like this?
Yeah.
But I think,
can I share the one that's coming to mind for me?
Yeah.
And we've shared these back and forth. So there's content creators that like sexualize food. They're like chefs that are amazing at cooking. It's like, it's very like sexualized. But the trend, right, that I think that's been very interesting to me is the individuals who copy those trends but do it in a sect that's like so
satire.
obscure. So one of the ones that Emily and I've been sharing back and forth most recently is a guy who mimics the sexual chefs, but he does it in gardening. So and so he's like slapping like soil and like instead of like whipping up, you know,
It's like digging in the dirt.
cream, yeah, he's like shoveling dirt or something. So they go back and forth. But the really interesting thing about it, because I'm very business oriented, and the interesting thing about it is if you go into those individuals, you never would really guess, right? You're watching for entertainment, but if you go into those individuals' profiles, a lot of them have an entire store for sale. And some of them are very high end courses and programs that they have for sale to teach you how to, right? Teach you how to cook, teach you how to plant, teach you how to do these really beautiful recipes. But they get your attention through something that's a little bit obscure, a little bit risky to get you to watch. So yeah, the copycats, I think, has been a very interesting trend for me that I've been sharing.
Yeah, the like response to what has worked for someone else in a satirical way, in a way that's entertaining. And this comes back to like the importance of content that is entertaining and relatable. Like that is what people want right now. Like I always encourage people to think about what's the kind of content you like to consume. Like when you're zoned out and scrolling, because I mean, I think the majority of us do that from time to time. Do you like the content that's like, hi, I have something to share with you. I'm going to give you 3 tips about the best way to change the way you exercise. Hell no, I have scrolled. But before you even took your second breath at the beginning, I have scrolled. I have no interest.
Yeah.
And it's not because what that person is about to share isn't valuable. We do not lack attention span. So there's this conversation we hear all the time, like, oh, we don't have an attention span anymore. I am a hawk.
Absolutely, we do.
I'm like as focused as possible if it's something that is actually pertinent to me, interesting to me. But what the reality is our brains always, this is how our brains work. Our brains basically rifle through information, right, to find what's important. And then if it's something that's of importance to us, we give it our attention. Our brains have to ruffle through so much more information than we've ever had to.
Yeah.
So the reality is you have, I want to tell you this exact number.
Well, you're looking for that, just to go along with what Emily's saying here. The last 2 nights, I've stayed up way past my bedtime watching freestyle rapping. Something I will never do. Something that I have no interest in whatsoever. But somehow it came up in my feed once to test me. I watched the whole thing through and through, and now it's just feeding me like crazy, this freestyle rap people. And it's so intriguing to me. And I literally watch it from second one all the way through to the end.
Yep.
But there's other things I scroll past within 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the data. This is the most recent data from the Metricool study that just came out looking at the first half of 2025. So this is comparable to other platforms. So the average view time of a TikTok video, which they are saying is equivalent to what you're going to have on Instagram or Facebook when it comes to short form video content. The average view time is 3.75 seconds. That's the average amount of time somebody watches a video. And then the average TikTok video is 41 seconds long and only watched in full 4% of the time. This is important because it means that it's not that your content is not important. It means you have to grab my attention right away. Yeah. So what I encourage my clients to do is use negative hooks. So instead of saying like, here are 3 things you should start doing to, change the way you eat, you would say, here are 3 here's 3 ways as a busy mom and business owner that you are sabotaging everything you're doing to get healthier. That's a negative hook. You're telling them what they're doing wrong. Now, in your brain, you might be like, oh, that's not how that's what people stop their scroll for.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're going to look at your information for, so instead of saying start doing this, you say stop doing that. If you're doing this, you're doing it wrong. Let me tell you how to do it the right way. That kind of stuff is more likely to stop the scroll. The other thing I'll say when it comes to creating content is look at the content that's performing well in other niches. So, find a few content creators that are maybe like just content creators, and they're not necessarily trying to grow a business, but they're creating content for the sake of creating content, and they're getting paid from the platforms for that. And look at what they're creating that is popular and see how you can take that trend.
Absolutely.
And do it for your own industry. Stop looking at what everyone else in your industry is doing and look at what's working, generally speaking. So like, I am not on TikTok. I mean, I have a profile over there, but I don't do anything. But sometimes I'll go to TikTok just to do some research on what kind of trends are working over here right now, because that's how it works. The trends and the audios that happen that are working on TikTok, they bleed over into Instagram. So you can go over, look at what's working, generally speaking, and getting great views, the kind of stuff that everyone is sharing. And then you recreate that trend in your niche in a way that makes sense for your audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Freaking phenomenal. We could go on forever and ever, which is why we're going to have Emily on again, talking about TikTok coming up. She's scheduled on a few times. So I think this is very important. I work with women business owners, and, I want to make sure that I'm bringing them the best of the best, making sure that they know all of the information that's needed to get their business to the next level. So, for those of you that stay tight with the Her Talk Show podcast, make sure that you are following, liking, sharing, all of the things so that we pop up. Emily's got a few, right? How many? 5, 6 lined up over the next few weeks?
I think 5.
Yeah. So we're really excited to have you back. This has been great. I so appreciate it. I do want to kind of segue into, you and I.
Yeah. So let us tell you that Sabrina and I work really well together, and we don't do everything the same, but essentially what we teach aligns so well. And so we took that reality and we did an in-person retreat last year with women business owners as a way to teach you the social media, the systems, and the structures for sales so that you can have a business that is sustainable.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it again in 2026. So currently we have a special registration offer that is available to you if you register before Black Friday, which this year is on November 28th. But what we want you to know is that you're going to walk away with a better structure and system that is more streamlined and an understanding of yourself and your business that will take you beyond just what we do together in April. And we only have 8 spots left. There's a lot I could say. Is there anything that you want to mention about it? Anything?
Well, it's April 23rd through the 26th. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia. It's all inclusive. And that's one of the things that we really want to emphasize. Emily and I have been in the retreat space for a while. We also work with a lot of but we have in our community other women business owners who run retreats. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, ladies, they are not all inclusive, right? So if you're waiting, you're like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, maybe another one, right? Some of these retreats that you're looking at are not all inclusive. Right? You're having to leave to go get your own food. You're having to purchase your own hotel. You're having to do your own transportation. The way that Emily and I have set this up is you come to us, you get to Georgia, to the airport, and from there, we take over.
Yep.
and everything is fully paid for within the pricing of the retreat. And then we drop you off at the airport, and then you're on your own. It is literally all inclusive, with the price of which is shown.
And we know, because we are business owners and we've been in early stages of our business, we also know that pricing can sometimes feel overwhelming. Okay, we've all been there. We see the value in it, and we're also like, how do I make this work? So every spot is broken into 4 payments so that it's more accessible for you. And if you register before Black Friday, you get $200 off your first registration payment. We also have some bonuses that we've added in for the pre-Black Friday registration. So not only will you get that $200 off, you'll also get to go live with me on Instagram to promote your business and your brand. You'll get to do a podcast just like this with Sabrina. You'll get a free individualized Instagram profile audit from me, where I will essentially walk you through the ways to update your profile so that you can be found through the Instagram search engine. And so you're like presenting yourself in the most professional way. And then what was the last one that you have? The
okay,
follow-up?
the podcast. Yeah, the podcast with me, the 50 follow-up PDF, the Instagram live with Emily, and the individualized audit. Those 4 things. Those 4 things, though, which are huge, by the way, only if you purchase before on or before Black Friday.
Yep. Yeah. And then the last piece I'll say about this, what you'll get with your registration, no matter when you register, we did this last year and it was of huge benefit, is you get a 2-on-1 coaching call with Sabrina and I. So we essentially have you fill out an entire intake form to tell us as much as possible about you and your business so that we can make sure that we are taking the information that's already been created and tailoring it to you. So in that 2-on-1 call, we give you homework to walk away with. So it's not like you have to wait for the retreat to happen to start seeing changes and to start making those micro changes like we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast episode. You can start making those micro shifts ahead of time because you get to have that 2-on-1 coaching call with us. So for us, it's more than just show up for these 4 days and 3 nights and we'll tell you everything. We're going to work with you ahead of time. We're going to work with you when we're there. And then we have the opportunity for you to work with us after. And the goal is that you have all the guidance and coaching and all the details you need to actually not just come up with ideas in your business, but implement and execute doing them.
Yeah, implement. And I think that's one of the most important parts. I was just listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about role playing and how important it is to do the thing, do the action every single day, because how quickly you get rusty. In this instance, they were talking about sales calls, but so many times, right, we learn things, it gets put in a notebook, we never do it, try it, see the ease of it, the complications of it, or even get over the hurdles of what the issues are. So the really awesome thing about the way that Emily and I run these retreats is actionable steps. So we're actually teaching and then you're implementing immediately so you can see how easy these things are. And then if you have any issues, if there's any walls, if there's any tech, we're right there with you to be able to overcome that quickly versus you having to watch 17 YouTube videos trying to figure out how the hell, a person gets this on the screen with, whatever it is that's going on. Because how often does that happen where we learn something new? We're like, oh, easy peasy. We go to do it and it's not freaking working the way that you thought it would be working. And to that point, right, a lot of times we think things are way harder than they actually are, right? Because we're doing so many other things in our businesses and we don't take the time to do that thing that could make such a difference in our business. But just taking the time to actually do that thing, we never take the time. So being able to commit a full weekend to yourself and your business is going to completely catapult you from where you are right now.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm already excited.
Absolutely. The other thing that I want to say is the comments, for those of you that are listening live or on the replay, in the comment section, wherever you're listening to us at, the link should be there in the comment. You can go ahead and click. You can see this whole thing. It'll take you to the beds that are available, the spots that are available, and just be mindful that we're already selling, right? There's already beds that are already being sold, that are already taken off. So if there's a bedroom here that's really pulling at you, you can see yourself here. You're really envisioning what it long. Don't wait too long. Check the plane tickets and start making moves so that the business that you're creating right now can be a totally different business in 2026. Let's roll. Let's roll. So yeah, like I said, Emily is going to be coming on quite often onto our platform here to share more information with you around Instagram. For those of you that have been thinking about getting into a retreat, doing a retreat, spending money in this, we're here for you. So get in the comments, ask questions. You can see we're both awesome. So feel free to reach out and do anything or ask anything that needs to be asked to help you make that decision a little bit easier for yourself.
Yep.
Love it.
Thanks for having me on today, Sabrina.
Yes, good. This was awesome. I learned so much. I was taking notes. I certainly hope everyone else was taking notes. All right, peeps, it has been absolutely wonderful. Until next time, we'll catch you.